want to grow as a grower? Are you tired of being put to sleep by your educational growcasts? Are you tired of hearing about products you don't fucking want and can't afford? Are you tired of being told how you should grow? Hi, I'm Johnny Apple, and joining me is everyone's favorite amphibian, the Reverend Pirate Frog. Join us as we sift through the bullshit on the internet and try to get better as growers. This is your average grow.
Hey, dude.
Hey, man, what's up?
Not much. I'm excited about our guest this week. You'll never ever guess where he's from, but I'd like to introduce you to the Flammulated Owl. What's up, dude?
How do you do?
Wait, say that again?
How you doing?
Okay, if I had to guess, I would say he's from Texas.
Yeah, huge.
Now,
Actually,
if I
Utah.
was from Texas, I'll be talking a bit more like this.
You can still hear the tang at the end, though. You can't. There is no hiding the full Scottish brogue. I'm sorry.
Oh, just you wait till I'll bust out another couple of accents before the end of this, and you'll
we hope so. It's not going to turn into like when my Irish family goes, the distinction between Irish accents, and I'm like, it all sounds the fucking same to me.
Yeah, I have a hard time with some of it too. Even watching Dairy Girls recently, we had to put subtitles on for the first. I was like, wait a minute, what are we talking?
Shout out our buddy Zankeef, who we always ask him to come on, but he always says no one will understand me.
Oh, you can just catch the subtitles.
Ask him to do it entirely in Gaelic. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for joining us, man. We were excited to get this going, especially because it's your first time out of the hospital bed, as it were. Just recovering from sickness. So thanks for making time, man.
Yeah, man. Even Hart just laying in bed. That's what was crazy about it. It was just painful, and I just found myself just standing in the living room in like a semi-lucid state.
Fuck, man.
Didn't smoke much over the holidays either, and I don't even remember if I took many gummies. It was just such a daze. It's bizarre, truly bizarre time.
Wow.
Fuck,
now that you're able,
I gotta make some.
Yeah, you were. I saw you giving out recipes, dude.
My recipe is simple. Go to fucking Levo fucking right on Amazon and order the fucking pre-made gummy packets and drop some fucking oil in it, and bingo, bango, bongo, you're fucking gotten gummies.
There you go. That's more than I've ever given recipe-wise, so I'd say that's a step up for Yag. Flam, what are you smoking on? What gets to break your...
Oh, I'm treating now that I've got my taste buds back. So
yeah.
I am enjoying some lemon grab Soulfire. My buddy Ohio Nugs came up for Hogmanay for New Year's there. It was a bit of a washout. His poor wife got a migraine. Our daughter yacked in the living room floor right here, just as my case with all my seeds was there, my seed vault. Missed it by inches from vomiting inside it. And that's really what started the whole the second bout of sickness. But yeah, he incredibly generous, awesome dude. Like, I can give you a bunch of stories since we moved here. For instance, he brought 6 IBC tote tanks, the big massive plastic reservoirs that are metal cages around them. They use them for
yeah.
The
water.
What are they? 250 totes. Yeah, I got a couple of them.
200 odd gallons or something crazy, right?
Yep, 250.
He brought 6 of them up in the trailer one day, 2 hours out of his way to pick them up, brought them up. I mean, just unreal generosity. And so anyway, he brought, we always do a bunch of trading. I didn't even blink an eyelid when we were trading beans, and he's like, oh yeah, I took one of the Cosmic Queen F4S1s, and I'm like, cool, man, yeah, it's fucking you, why not? Just take it, and he just gave me a whole bunch. Yeah. He brought me a whole bunch of different, or us, I should say, a whole lot of different flour, and got some Naptown from Night Owl as well. I'm really on a super booth and the crosses kind of run right now. I'm enjoying that, or that orange kind of flavor. And yeah, he gave us like a half jar of it. I don't even know how much is in there. Just incredible. So yes, since I've been kind of overdoing it a bit today and yesterday on it, like that's all I've touched. And I'm like, okay, I need something a bit funkier, I think now, or this is more lemon. This is quite uppy. So I thought, oh, if I'm coming to talk shit on a podcast, this is a good route to go.
Right on, man. Well, before we get you fucking going too much, bring it back, man. What got you into cannabis in the first place? Tell us your history with it.
Because it's fucking cool.
No, way back at the beginning. What started Scotland?
Before it was cool.
So there I am, a young Scotsman, and I was into rap. I was one of the only folk I knew that was into rap, right? And yeah, I'd hear about it through that. And I mean, I'd be watching movies like Menace to Society and all that kind of shit. And
Belly.
You just get more belly. Yeah, Jesus. Shout out Nas and DMX. And I you just heard more and more, but I was just inquisitive, right? And then I remember being at a couple parties. So I never had a curfew growing up. My mates did, and I would hang out with some older kids, generally with my girlfriends, big brothers, is who I'd hang out with. And I'd see them kind of doing it, and I was just kind of, keep an eye on it. And then a couple times after I'd first seen it, like I just asked for some, and I got I think we call it a waterfall over here, a gravity bong, where it's you cut the bottom off of a big soda bottle in the sink or a bucket, So this was like a 2-liter one of these, and I fucking took the whole thing, and I then just melted into the couch. Every time I gulped, it was like a pulse would go through my whole body. And we were watching some black and white version of Rumpelstiltskin. And this is like 2 a.m. or something. And I'm like 14, 15, I think. And oh man, it was a bizarre experience, right? And my mate Jean's big brother, who was like 6'6", all skin and bones though, he ran home down the middle of the road. And we're a pretty nice neighborhood we were at in Scotland, like looking back. And yeah, he was like 18, 19 at the time, and he's legged. He was so scared Rumpelstiltskin was going to get him. And then like, another time after that, I joined.
I think he was justified completely, by the
way. The second time, I enjoyed it a bit more, and then one of my older homies, who ended up who used to get me shit for a while. As I found out later, he was growing it. He kind of said to me, the way you approached it, you didn't just dive right into it. You kind of watched and hung out with us for a bit first and refused it even. That's why, I'm like cool with selling it to you, right? So it was that like kind of thing already. All right, he's kind of mindful of that. Because then, like, sure enough, my mates tried weed 1 week and then were snorting coke 2 weeks later. Like, there was no like. And I've always seen
transition.
I've always said it's not a gateway drug, but yeah, for some folk,
it's way,
yeah, right. So yeah, like got into it that way, and then we would smoke some absolute nonsense, like we call it council brick hash from like it'd get imported in, and there would be flakes of rubber and plastic, and you see different colors through this brown brick of soap, and
dude, who's operating your camera?
Oh, I wonder if I can turn it off. It's my.
Is it automatic?
Yeah, it just does it automatically.
It's trippy as shit.
Dude,
I was like, yo, it's fucking dope.
This is the experience.
He's got a fucking camera. Not only is he like, I'm finding a hard time doing anything else but getting sucked right in by you telling this goddamn story, except for your camera just keeps fucking this is so fucking cinematic. It's not even funny.
I was gonna say, it made it seem like he had a director over there. Like, no, follow the hand. Follow the hand.
Like, holy shit, he came to fucking Yag. This is not the Yag. Fucking Jesus Christ.
The first time it did.
Sorry, all the listeners are missing it. Yeah.
No, you're fine. And so this disgusting hash that like the bits, there's even a Welsh rap song that says it's the fucking bits of rubber that get you off. They would they call them blimburns, and it would like burn through your pants because it would come through the joints. We were smoking like spliffs with tobacco, and I never liked it. I remember one time I drank a lot, and then smoked a joint with somebody and completely whited, like spewed my ring, was like passed out for a while and didn't mix it. And it's always been this on-off thing for many years. I've got fond memories of like walking in on roommates at university, and they were kind of like hiding it, and I was like, "Wait, are you guys smoking weed?" And they're like, "Aye, hope it's all right." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, it's all right. Let's get going," shit like that. And then move it, but really coming across to the States. And the first ski season, I was around it all the time, but I was so worried about you hear about drug testing all the time, right? This is 2008, 2009. And I was always worried about that, being on a visa and can't come back to the States and all this shit. And so I didn't. And then when the ski season finished, we went on a camping trip to Moab into southern Utah, and I smoked a bit there out of an apple, which was hilarious for me too, because I was down at the store 20 minutes earlier, not sure what kind of apple to get my mate. And I was like, I don't know what flavor it was.
Your first time smoking in the United States was at fucking Moab?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Out of an apple.
You. That is the coolest fucking place. Everywhere is a disappointment after that.
And so here's the thing, when we'd go to the desert, like Park City, Utah area, northern Utah, everyone just leaves spring, goes down to the desert to like warm their bones up, go biking, climbing, trip shrooms, like that kind of stuff. I was so concerned about getting a paraphernalia charge, I would only ever smoke through fruit. So I would even like take like a tangerine peel and use it as like a filter sometimes. I stashed weed in a tree one time and found it again. It was revolting. But yeah, it's so coming across Utah, did that, went back, came across again, and I was working in the ski shops, and summer times I started doing golf course work, and it was straight up like Caddyshack, like that. That's a documentary as far as I'm concerned. And that schooled me. And it's so funny, cool. The guy who really schooled me on smoking like good green grass, whatever you want to call it, flower. He's actually from the town that I now live in. And I bumped into his mum after just talking about him 10 minutes prior to somebody else. It was really strange. But we used to have a blast just driving around these golf carts and just getting absolutely ripped at like 5 a.m. And just raking bunkers with a bunker crew, BC for life. And it was just really fun, and it really got me more into it. I stopped drinking as much too. Like I've never been a mean drunk, but almost like not crazy wild either, but like I've got away with some things that I've really like fallen on my head more than once, for example. Like I really am fortunate in that way. If I was to put it on paper, like I remember a doctor, when I was honest one time filling out units of alcohol one time, the doctor was like, okay, so here's some options we've got going forward as towards, I'd start talking like that, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I was like, no, mate, that's just like a Friday, Saturday, or a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I was never, compared to other people in Scotland, I don't think I was that bad, to be honest. But on paper, like, yeah, it was a lot of units, and I just started hating hangovers and just enjoying the effects of weed more. It was just kind of spectacular. I just couldn't get over it. And I was fortunate being in such a nice town like Park City. It was always good bud. I can't remember a time getting bad bud. I remember one time getting some home grow that gave me a fucking anxiety attack about that I'd never experienced before. And I'm kidding not, that it was like blue, it was bluish, and this like a proper blue tinge to it. I'll never forget it. Very untrimmed as well. I'd never seen anything like it. And just that we always had like good stuff coming through. So like Trainwreck and Pot of Gold. There's a lot of those kind of things back then we were getting. The highlight was probably when my apartment buildings, there was a block of all different blocks. And the backside looked in a nature preserve, and we would just see these amazing animals, moose and elk and all that. And the guy that was slinging used to work for me at the shop. He lived 2 blocks down from me, so I never, even with the amount of cops that would come to that apartment blocks, I would never have to worry about getting like a possession charge. I was always going back and forward there. And for a couple of years, my ski shop went from being like absolute, when we started, like alcohol-driven party folk. There was a couple of years where it was like just a bunch of guys like to smoke, guys and girls like to smoke, and so the place stunk at times. Like I had to have several meetings where it was like, guys, you've got to stop leaving it in your lockers, and because everyone had good bud, and so it just reeked, and I would always get pulled out, and everybody assumed that I mean, quite rightfully, even though I wasn't like bleary-eyed and wasn't particularly doing it at work then. It wasn't until I came back as a housekeeper. I came back as housekeeping to get a visa to marry my wife. We'd got engaged in Scotland, and then the visas went away and I got stuck. So I couldn't come back to manage the shop. And my boss got a few of us back as housekeepers. So I came back and skied like toilet to toilet. And my boss didn't give a fuck what we did. So I'd be smoking every day, like with the executive chefs and all these nice restaurants. And yeah, it was great. Just a pretty cool kind of like, I wouldn't say like a weed culture necessarily. I mean, definitely more on the mountain there was several smoke shacks that we would stop and smoke at and things like that. Or we got this thing called the Orange Bubble where there's a cover over the front of the ski lift and the seats were heated. So we were hotboxing this like crazy every morning the way to work. And the golf course, like I said, was Caddyshack. So all the Central American guys, they were generally doing bumps before they mowed the lawns, the greens, sorry. And then all the white boys and the visa kids were pretty much smoking. And so there was this big disparity between their level of work ethic. And so it was fucking hilarious though, man. We would get some absolute capers. I could talk for an hour just on the nonsense we got up to on the golf course, most of which was done baked out of our skulls. I remember one time the guy brought like a Sherlock like this and like was just sitting in the side of the golf cart like it was a water bottle. And yeah, it was great. Good times, man. Good. You were never without. It was very easy to find. And then when we got our first house, which one of my number one tips in life is if you're looking to buy a home and you've got no money, look up a USDA rural loan. The USDA paid our down payment, and we negotiated closing costs to be paid by the seller. So we moved into our house for $1,000, and it wasn't even that rural. You'd be surprised what counts as rural. That is like my number one tip of living in America. Is definitely something that happens. It happened to me. Look into it. And so anyway, we bought a house, and as soon as we bought the house, I was like, I'm fucking growing my own weed, and got the Mars Hydro set up with our Blurple. So this was 2016, 2017. And I grew some bag seed, essentially, some trim seed from my friend who also from Scotland, who was up trimming up in Washington. And she was allowed to bring some back and some seeds. She asked if she could send them, and they allowed it. And I think it was some kind of Jack cross. But I did that, made all the classic mistakes, stretched it too long. I had to keep feeding it. I was using Fox Farm Trio kind of shite. And then the next runs, I got straight into growing autoflowers. And so I just like that. I just like that style of it's just one and done, start again. You're not continually doing something else. And so I grew some Grower's Choice shite seeds. Well, I mean, they grew good stuff, but it's total white label nonsense. And one of them didn't auto, but I'd scrogged them together. And so I had to like one of them veg for like 90 days in this little 2x2, in this little Mormon pantry underneath the front steps of the house. And yeah, I had a lot of different challenging conditions in that little area, like maintaining the temperature, humidity. With it being Utah, it was so cold, and so the wee radiator that a lot of people now have in their tents, like I got one of them, and I still use them to heat up a garage that we're growing stuff in there. And we started growing under there. The Candy Kush thing that came out was like just insanely frosty, and so I pissed about with a whole bunch of different techniques, like dry ice hash and doing bags in different ways and all that. And I just started growing from just me and my wife for a good long time. And there was a couple breaks in between of a few months if I had jobs where like I wasn't allowed to consume for a while, so I just grew for my wife. I think my first real like decent autoflower was Canna Cheese by Mephisto. It was really hard to find. It was like a Seeds Here Now or something I bought it from. And I was so scared going online. Like I learned from books, Jorge Cervantes kind of thing. I would use VPNs to like go on thing. I used like a Linux computer, like all this crazy shit. So I was so scared of, like my green card status and this and that. And
well, and Utah doesn't fuck around.
no, and of course, and that's the other thing I forget too. Now that I'm out of Ohio and we've gone legal, it's such a different feeling, by the way, which I want to touch on later.
Oh yeah, I bet we will talk about Ohio. Before I forget,
yeah, Utah does not fuck around, and we live by I-80, and so we'd see cops pulling people over day in, day out.
Dude, their state patrol officers pull us over all the time if you've got California plates, because my family is from there, up in Box Elder County and such, and
exactly.
Yeah, I do not like. I am not overly fond of my father's birth state, but
I mean the good thing though, working these jobs that I did, right? Because I went to university to be a PE teacher. I had a guaranteed job. I walked away from a tenure position in Scotland to like travel, right, and do the ski thing.
Yeah.
And meet my wife out there, like within the first month. We were best buds. She also likes to smoke, which is good. And but doing all these different jobs, because I did lots of did bar work, you know, it all schooled me, I think, better on being more of my own person and getting skills that I would never have got normally. Like my mates back in Scotland, some of them can't put up a shelf. Like it's insane, right? And now I've built like lean-tos and patios and all this other shit, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't worked on these jobs. But it also exposed me to some people that I never would have met either, right? And who would like school me up on like being smart about traveling with things and how to stash it and not being too careful. Like the recent trip I took out to Maine, I got pulled over just before the airport and had more green on me than I've had in ages because I was taken out to Maine to give some to folk, right? So it was like great. I was shite myself. I was like, I'm not worried about TSA because they say they're not looking for it, but Ohio cops still were at that time. Did the growing thing out there. Got more into growing other things. Lockdown hit. Got me into growing microgreens and trying to figure out more food. Things like that, and we then decided, you know, after a couple, what was it, 2021, it was just time to move. I don't really want to get into that on this, but it was time for us to move, and the house pricing had gone up because we were close enough to Park City, where like our house had doubled in 2 years, and we'd done a lot to it, right? We put like a solar panel system in there, and 300-foot patio and lean-to, new double glaze, and like tons of things to the house. But we got some good money off it, and so it was like, shit, we both separately had the ideas of moving to Ohio, despite me being like, I'm never moving here, just so you know. But then I started seeing like what the land was like, and you know, getting to growing mushrooms, like there's much more humidity out there, and it was just getting harder and harder in Utah. The more corporate stuff came in and things like that, and it's the weather, like just heat waves and wildfires. You know that out in California, how awful the air quality can be.
Well, it's not gonna get better either.
No, it's not, unfortunately. And so we were able to buy some land out here. So we bought 5 acres. It's a gorgeous big garden. And it's funny, although I can't sometimes quite be happy at what I've done, because I'm always thinking, oh well, there's this needing taken care of and this and that. Just to be like, holy fuck, like how have I pulled this off? Like, there's a really polluted industrial river in Glasgow called the Clyde in Scotland, shipyard, right? And my nana would say that if I'd fallen in the Clyde, I'd come out with a salmon in each pocket. And it's true. Like, I do feel very fortunate and blessed. Like, I encourage people to come share our garden if they want to have a wander around and that. It's just crazy. I can't believe this is how my life is kind of wound up. And it's given, although there's some things like about our house which I wish were just more traditional. Like, for what we grow, we could be fine in just a regular fucking house, right? But we have to have, of course, live in some cool like wood cabin thing with a mezzanine where I'm squeezing to get by the tents to go like, oh no, fuck, I've lost another branch because I pulled it too hard in between 2 tents to squeeze it by. Shit like that, you know. But it's a cool kind of, the last couple of years have been incredibly challenged, but a cool existence to kind of go it alone and just figure out what we can do with plants of all kinds, you know, and major fuck ups and lots of successes that I sometimes just don't take time to appreciate, you know, and celebrate myself. And I celebrate my wife all the time, but I sometimes forget to get myself on these at times, because I used to talk up myself quite a bit, but the mushrooms and that definitely humble you. Getting into the psilocybins, that's what got me gourmets. It just really makes you rethink yourself in so many different ways. So macro doses and micro. I know micro is the end thing right now, but macro doses have had more of an effect on me than anything maybe even more
Macro?
than cannabis.
Micro or the
Yeah.
macro doses?
Macro, the big
Macro.
doses. Like, I've never taken. I've probably taken like over 5 grams within a day, but I'm generally good at about 3.5, 4 grams. I'm pretty pickled. I'm out there. I'm closing my eyes and just seeing the most amazing shit whilst dealing with really upsetting stuff, you know.
When we started this podcast, the first sermon, I think we talked about achieving ego death as one of the most fundamental, easy things that you can do to improve your life, just in general. But it is so very true. Ironically, I live in one of the states that even having spores is a crime.
Yes,
technically.
Yep.
Not that
right.
Not that matters overall, but and our governor got to veto a fucking decriminalization on the issue because somehow
I saw
that's
Newsom, right? I was disappointed at that.
Yeah. It's not a
it's-
surprise. He's a fucking piece of shit.
I know
He's a hypocrite.
they don't want us to be happy. I'll say I don't want to get too soapboxy ranty, right? But having just gone to Scotland in September there, and first time in 6 years as well, right? So quite a while, and how much I've changed as a person since what I could have been. You know, my wife says things like it took going out to Utah for us to become who we're meant to be, rather than who we should have been or meant to, that kind of stuff. So, but Scottish people have just as bad eating habits as Americans, as Midwesterners especially, right? Absolutely do. However, there's definitely, and we know this, right? But there's definitely things in the food that are making so many folk these bizarre shapes, or what makes it so difficult to shift that way, and all the rest. And it's in fucking everything. Everything.
It's fucking corn.
Everything, dude.
It's corn. Corn.
It's fucking corn, because for some reason we continuously subsidize it and find, oh shit, we have so much corn. What can we do? Oh shit, we can make sweeteners out of this. Oh shit, it saves us money. Oh, now everybody's eating fucking corn. I mean, it's fucking almost impossible to avoid. To try and avoid that shit, you would have to eat raw, like completely grow it yourself. It is a difficult task, and it only continuously kicks down people who don't have money for health anyway, right?
Deserts. There's a good Matt Damon movie. I can't remember the name of it right now, but he plays like a whistleblower, something to do with the corn industry, and it's like an indie movie. You can find it easy enough if you Google it, but I need to watch it again now that I've been living here for so long, because it's been years since I've seen it.
It's an American obsession with corn, and you look at other cultures that do have obesity problems too, right? Like Mexico, I think, is per capita ahead of the United States right now.
Yeah,
and it's the similar issue. It's a lot of shitty food.
It's not just the corn though. It's the sugar industry has fucking worked their way into every fucking thing, on top of like the artificial oils that like canola oil. It's a fucking rapeseed. It's a seed oil, and it's in every fucking thing. And then all the fucking flour is now enriched flour sprayed with folic acid that fucking half of the population cannot fucking process. They're like literally, we're a fucking cash cow, man. We're they're pumping this shit into us just so they can get rich.
Yep, and be miserable, and like that's what I'm going to say too. Although I can be, and people do, as it's getting more out around our friend groups and friends of friends and things, that I'm very. I did a kind of open. We had issue 2 in Ohio, and I did a video on our farm Instagram page.
Yeah, we can bring that up real quick. I wanted to talk about that. Ohio recently voted to legalize. And then you had some bullshit shenanigans with politicians. You were probably the most obvious advocate that I saw. Like it was very aware. You were very aware in spreading the message.
Maybe link between us. Yes, there was other folks that I was definitely taking my Ace Boogie. I encourage people to look him up.
But if you want to give us a little, so the people voted for it and won. And
so
that?
Back in before we moved to like 2016, there was like a very obvious monopoly move pulled, right, where the people actually voted against legalizing it because of that. So smart one. Because let's not forget, Ohio used to be a swing state, right? But it's been gerrymandered to fuck, so that it can't be. But it used to be a swing state. So they then a group called I think it was the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. Got together and got this petition done. Right, they collected 200,000 signatures, I think, and then had 96,000 of them invalidated. So that tells me this lawyer group, who do not have good ratings, just sent out kids with clipboards and didn't check that people were taking signatures from the same county. So if I do one for Richland County, it's got to be Richland County and Morrow County and all this kind of thing. It has to be just the one petition group. You can't have them all on the same one. So I think that's what happened. So people like Ace Boogie sounded the alarm on Instagram, Reddit, like, fuck, we've got to get moving. We've got 10 days to collect, I think it was like 600 signatures to get it on the ballot. So a bunch of us did. I mean, I only got like 50, right? But
50 counts.
It's if 50 counts, right? We ended up getting like 6,000 extra. Like,
wow.
people turned up, right? True grassroots. I cannot stress it enough. Just a hodgepodge of people, right? So we got that, and then it passed. What was like 57%, so quite significant. And they're already start talking about, and unfortunately, it is mostly the GOP side. I don't trust any politicians. I'll just say that right here and now. But there was the GOP side that was pushing for all these changes, and the murmuring we kept on hearing was, we're going to axe home grow, we're going to axe home grow, we're going to axe home grow, and and people fucking turned up again. So it went right down to the wire just before they went for their Christmas break, and I think they're due back to work any day now, so there'll be more shit coming, right? They were trying to get rid of it all, and they received hundreds of phone calls and thousands of emails each, not just to the one guy or girl, each of them. And so they chickened out. Now, they did end up passing something. 28-2 was the vote, where it still allows home grow, but they limited to 6 plants. They're never going to hear this. So the way it was written was 12 plants was the maximum, right? 6 per adult, no more than 12 per household. However, you would not be charged with a crime unless you did more than double. So in the wording, you're allowed to actually grow 23, right?
Yeah,
so I'm trying, I've not really spoken about that much, but that's what was going on. I give a fuck about
California, and they have plant counts, but the maximum illegal, I don't know if it's a maximum, but the illegal grow fine is like $500. So you have people setting up like warehouse grows illegally, stealing water, and it's like, okay, get them that $500 ticket, motherfucker. See, YAG has a very common, very simple philosophy with politicians. They're all fucking terrible. If you want to be a politician, that's a weird thing that I don't think I'll ever see eye to eye with anyone who wants to be a politician personally.
There's a cat in town that I really like. But he's not your typical. He ended up going independent and things, and he's a fucking cool person. But I always say to folk, if I wanted to be rich, I would either sell sugar or fucking be in politics. So that's some hijinks.
Start a religion.
Be with Frog.
There you go. Lord Frog. I need a boat.
So that's where we're kind of at right now. We're waiting to see what happens, and I've got some friends who've been legacy growers out here. I've made a lot of like cannabis friends very quickly out here, and I won a giveaway last year 2 years ago through Stone Ninja. Shout out to him out in California, which honestly changed my life. Like, yes, I killed off the clones and the mums that were sent to me, but as far as the kit and the setup, like fucking hell, and the connections I made, because after I won the giveaway, I made these wee I got 3D buckets made, and then I made labels with all the vendors from the giveaways logos, and made the labels and wrapped them in the buckets and sent them out with thank you cards, Christmas cards. And so that kind of gave me a bit start of a relationship with some people. Well, it's just like, I know I'm working in the ski industry. We would be involved in similar things, and the lack of like gratitude I feel from some people was like quite evident. And so that was like such a huge thing for me. Pardon me. That I really wanted to make sure that I did something. And so it's also nice to be acknowledged, and that's also, I got more friendly with Daz as well, was writing him a letter just like, holy fuck, like this strain has like calmed my brain down. Mango Sunrise, that was one of my first grows with Night Owl, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'd had that happen before with like Jack Herrera, but that was hard to catch. and I just couldn't believe that. Oh my, I can just grow this whenever I want. It's brilliant. And so just doing those wee things. That's what I love about the cannabis area too. It allows you to kind of create and do little one-off things if you want to do it, and if folk dig it, great. But you're just doing it for yourself to like get it off your chest at times, and as we move in, sorry to get back to the Ohio thing, as we move into this new thing, I'm trying to like not be a gatekeeper, but also encourage as many people so we can normalize it as possible. Like if cannabis was a plant where you could fucking go up and touch it and get high or eat it or whatever, then I would be much more like, all right, let's fucking pump the brakes, right? But if I can legally have plants that will kill people within hours of touching it or ingesting it, like because it's just a pretty flower, then this is nonsense about cannabis, right? I get quoted in the local newspaper saying it was bonkers about this. And it's just made such an enriching part of my life, like in so many different ways. And I've terrible issues with my back. And like Marathon OG, if I smoke that within seconds now, my back spasm stops. I mention this every time it comes up. I'm beating like a dead horse. But I just can't. It's just bonkers to go from like walking around like fucking Quasimodo, dragging my right leg, using the door frames to like swing myself through the house, to smoking that, and I'm like walking again and just being able to. Then I can do my stretches, do my ice packs, and the other things that help support my back health. But it's just incredible, and so like. Yeah, I can be quite preachy, as I'm sure I'm coming across about it.
I think there's such a relief in finding medicine that works that it's absolutely something that more people should be vocally loud about, because there's other people with that issue that don't know.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's something more than medicine, right? Because like when I think of medicine, I just think of like fucking pills that I get, Western style fucking pills, and then you get this thing that is truly medicinal, right? Because I've several. It helps me several different things that I have issues with, what do I call it? But then it also tastes amazing, right? It smells amazing. It's sticky. You sexually frustrate it in order for it to produce more of a crop. Like, there's so many things that are like interesting about it. Like then my first time seeing male flowers, and I'm like, oh, look at these cute wee things. What the fuck are they? You know, and it's all this like wonder, right? Like times when I've been like tripping on shrooms and jamming out with a black light with my plants. Like, this is fucking great. Look at these crystals on it and that. Like, what a bizarre, cool hobby, lifestyle. Get into it as much or as little as you want. Like, I don't give a fuck, but just get some cannabinoids in to support your endocannabinoid system and just see what will happen. Like, I smoked out an 82-year-old a couple of weeks ago. One of the highlights of my life. Like, had some balanced Gatuga, took a bunch of balanced Gatuga. Shout out to Alabrihe. Is this sponsored by Alabrihe, by the way?
Jesus, goddamn.
No.
This episode
is sponsored by Alabrihe Genetics. That wanky son of a gun. Which she'd had. We were over there gardening for her months ago. She fell down the basement steps where she's got this, like, not a cannabis grow, but like she grows different plants. Traumatic, right? The brain issues, broken back, operations, the whole shit. Cannot believe that she's out in the old folks' home, quite honestly. Like, all credit to her. And her first time ever smoking weed was something that I fucking grew. That I just shared with some other people that I was the one that grew it as well, which is new for me, right? I still remember I'm in a town which is fucking rough, right?
hey, you keep hitting your mic, just so you know.
Oh, sorry. And
fucking dad,
like what a fucking great experience to do that, right? And then what really like sent her off to dreamland though, because she said she felt a bit ropey because she was on like I don't know, like stronger painkillers. Was I brought my vape with me and had some Judy Gemstone for her, so she was had a wee tug on the Judy Gemstone and she was out like a light. And just to get that kind of relief, like I just saying to folk, like the sleep it gives you. I remember the first time being on it after months of being off, because I had a CDL and I had to, I managed this fleet of vehicles for the ski shop. And I was miserable, boys. I was absolutely fucking miserable. And a microdose very scrap-hazily through it. But I was doing so much nonsense just to sleep. like this routine. And anyway, first time I smoke and I fucking slept 8 hours. Don't know the strain, don't care.
Dude, I've got a buddy that won't fucking. He keeps asking me. He's like, "Do you have some gummies?" Like he's like, I just don't want to spaz out. I'm like, they're lightweight, man. I'm telling you, like, take them before bed. You'll sleep. You won't even know you were fucking high. You will just sleep.
Yeah,
You just sleep.
you feel rested.
Yes.
It's funny that there's a Scottish scientist who was considered fringe for so long, and now she's got more work than she can handle. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name right now, but she's an endocannabinist, and she talks about how I want to make sure I say this right, that it does not operate all your other organs, but it supports them all, I believe, is what she says. And so it's like, there's a reason why we have that in our bodies, whatever it may be. If you end up finding that consuming some proper, actual, not snake oil, but CBD oil does enough for you, then great, then use that. Some of us might need more. Some of us might enjoy more. And that's what, again, is it medicine? What is it? And it's the same thing. You can't really overdose. You can green out. You can have a miserable time, but it's
only miserable for a few hours.
Exactly.
And as someone who almost drank himself to death, I'd much rather take greening out and waking up being like, well, that wasn't as fun than holy shit, please kill me.
Yeah,
it's
the amount of friends that I lost to alcoholism out in Utah. Like I'm not exaggerating. Yeah. I think it was guys that I would actually truly consider friends. There was like 4. The alcohol was related. It was
absolutely terrible, dude.
And they're living in paradise, right?
Yeah, it's not. I don't know if it's a pandemic level, but I know a lot of people of that faith where it's a huge problem being a closet alcoholic. Just because.
Well, how do you stop a Mormon drinking all the beer on your fishing trip?
Invite another Mormon, dude.
Bingo.
And it's all true.
That old classic.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, how do you also, in reality, how do you get help for something that you don't have, according to people, right? So they just, anywho, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it is. I think one of the good points about whether it's a medicine or not, I like the way Alabrije says that even if you are using it recreationally, you're getting medical benefits. So it's all use is medicinal.
Mm-hmm.
He actually stole that from me.
Yeah, I don't. It
Very
doesn't
poetic
surprise
of
me.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Hey, I have to say, I'm going to give myself some flowers right here, as the kids say. I'm fucking stoked that I won their kind of bonsai competition.
Yeah, congratulations, dude. You know what works out is at one point on the circle, we said we'd have the winner of the can of bonsai on the podcast, and we totally didn't even connect the two. But congratulations, this is part of it.
Well, one of the winners, I should say, one of the winners.
Yeah, one of the most creative, I believe.
Most creative. Yeah, I'd had that in my head since I saw a Pringle tube on Reddit for the first time. I saw people growing autoflowers in Pringle tubes, and I just, for whatever reason, I never did it, And then I've been thinking about using the Arran single malt because, like I said, it's my favourite and all the rest. And then we were over in Scotland when it started. I thought I got back just in time to pop the beans, and as I was over there, I was starting thinking more of how I was going to do it. And so, we collected shells on the beach and took it across. And yeah, I'm pumped because, again, I thought it was just bragging rights. I didn't realize there was legitimately sick prizes. And so, yeah, I was just really, really stoked.
It's very fitting. It's very cool that Stoney was the first winner, and now our friend Flam is the second. So, in typical Yag fashion, we will claim part of that victory. Go,
yes.
Yag.
I'll butter, just like Stoney. It's butter infused.
Yeah, butter infused. Double butter. Oh, man. Yeah, it's funny. What a wonderful story. We can listen to you for hours, but Johnny has questions.
I can talk tons of shite.
What's your grow style right now? I don't think you touched on that. What's your style like?
So I am pretty stuck on this, I have to say. I have got tons of like other nutrients and bottles that are just sitting there that I keep saying I will learn this other style. I do Nature's Living soil, like super soil. So bottom third, Nature's Living soil, and Roots Organic I've used for years. More recently, I've been using Bio 365. They were really cool to send us out half a palette of different ones they do. And so we used it for the microgreens, we used it for potted plants, and anyway, really fresh. I've never had such a fresh bag of potted soil either. And anyway, so I'll do the super soil. Sometimes I will do things like where I'll take like a soak up size and I'll put like a seedling mix in that area. So when the seed's beginning, that's where it goes. Quite often, I will start them in riot cubes in a little miniature dome just so I can keep a better eye on them. But other times, I'll just take a little plastic cup, almost transparent, and use that as a humidity dome and just plop it straight on top of the same pot it's going to finish. I am absolutely in love with the Autopot setup. I've got an XL, 4XL, or 1XL, but 4 of them. That's under and I won that. This was one from the Stone Ninjas thing. So that was one. I've got a Grower's Choice 720 ROI with the controller, with the boost. I've been too afraid to use the what do they call it? The boost bulbs or something. It's like these finishing bulbs. Mm-hmm. But I've got them set to, and that's in a hydro grow tent. And I just do water only for the most part. I've done a couple runs like strict. Like I don't like it when I'm not the best always at listening to podcasts. Like during the summer, I listen to it a lot when I'm gardening. So I picked up on you guys actually. I was listening to Alabrihe's guest appearances, and I don't like it when they say, "Oh yeah, I do water only," but then I add this and I do this tea and da da da. I was like, no, I just want to see what's truly water only, because if one of my end goals is to get people growing this at home, I want it to be as simple as possible, and I want to know it as well as I can. As far as doing, I'm not always the best at saying, "Oh, let's get the NPK is this or whatever." Right? I can just fucking do it. I'm kind of green fingered, right? I've made some cataclysmic fuck ups, and I've learned a lot from them as well, right? Mm-hmm. I did do the Master Gardeners class through the local university, but that was fucking 12 weeks of sitting for 3 hours on a Monday night with me riddled with ADHD, fucking pacing up and back forward towards the classroom, fidgeting, and eventually I just turned up mute. So anyway, that's just the way I like to do it. This last run I just did there, which was just stunk and was so sticky. I did supplement with I did some very lazy Nature's Living soil teas, molasses, Nature's Living soil, water, and sometimes I'd put in things like was it Big White mycorrhizae and some Herb Natural. Great White. What's the one with the Yeti on it? Bigfoot?
I don't remember that one. The only one I've used is the mycorrhizae for the thing, and I just happen to remember it was Great White.
I've used Dino-Myco as well. I was really stoked. One of my gardening clients, she picked up Dino-Myco off of my recommendation. We used it to transplant everything. It was really cool. But yeah, just things like that. And so I did it like a few, once just as it was hitting flower, then a couple more times after that. Turn off the system and give it a wee bit of time to kind of dry out. I found I didn't have to do it for too long though. And really, I just try and keep it simple. I've tried the whole mixing up nutrients thing. Good on folk that can do that. That's not my style. I don't even know if I could find the time with how busy I am. Looking back, how busy I was this summer. But it's just kind of how I like it. And yeah, when I see, I haven't weighed mine in a while, but you can tell because how much it's filling up, Mm-hmm. But where I'm at now with the Autopots and the flavor and the effects, I'm loving it. I'm zero. No one has any complaints. It is absolutely wonderful. Provides good edibles off the back end too. And yeah, I mean that to go out in Maine and meet Daz and have him try Judy Gemstone, Mangoes and Chem, and just be fucking stoked at like how good it was. Like, was really a cool fucking moment as far as like being a grower and making sure I do things right, you know, and do things like cull plants when you're not happy with them. Sometimes I let them grow somewhere else, but I don't put the same attention into them. Or learning to grow out in the Midwest. Holy fuck, way more difficult than Utah. Utah was so easy, I have to say, as fuck. Looking back, as far as things like IPM or mold or anything like that, I didn't have any issues once. I had other issues with humidity in the area I was growing, but not anything that caused mold. Whereas I came out here and I lost plants outside. I lost tons of plants outside my first time growing. And
every year, man.
And going out, like changing your clothes, going in and out, showering before you go up to your grow area, like take it fucking serious. Like you may have got away with not doing it. You may be fine with that stuff, but if you're out this kind of way anyway, especially if you're outdoors, like I'm literally in people's garden beds, like in thickets and shit, right? I should really get hosed off in the driveway, to be honest. But doing that and the mushrooms has definitely taught me how, like, I'm a very clean person anyway. I'm not the tidiest, but I shower like every day almost because it's just the way that I am. But having to like be extra thorough and being mindful of the order I do certain things, which has helped me as I start to like chuck a bit of pollen and all that, like, all right, think how you're doing things for the day. Things like that. So it's just it's kind of organic without the label, just as we do our microgreens and all that. People ask us, are we organic? Like we use organic methods. We're not going to chase the label. We don't have the money for it for a start.
Fuck that.
But it's what I like, and I've got friends who grow with salts and all that, and I enjoy it. But I've generally found that folk that grow that way, they have to be really good at growing to pull it off. To keep some of those, or to get the terpenes in the first place. I don't know. It's just my experience. Maybe it's my limited interaction with other growers, but the last couple of years, I've met a lot more growers in person than I'd ever met before. Even just going to things like local grow shops, like customer giveaways or expo things, and just going with flower and seeds and just fucking sharing and enjoying each other's company and listening to nonsense like I talk all the time, you know. It's really fucking cool, and just especially out here, there's some cool like Death Star. There's a whole Death Star fucking cut out here, and who's got the real one, and who fucked over who to get it, and all this kind of shit. It's kind of interesting to learn these kind of stories and backstories coming into it, and then be like, yeah, I grow this stuff, and no one else is smoking on these same flavors, so it's cool.
Yeah, right on. Well, I got 3 more questions for you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
What was the first seed you ever planted, and why was it an apple seed?
It was not an apple seed.
Damn right.
What seed? You know what? It might have been a barley seed, which I tried to pass off as a tooth that had fallen out from a loaf of bread. And my parents obviously caught me. But yeah, I was trying to lie my way into getting some money from the tooth fairy from a fake seed getting planted under my pillow.
I like that.
That's fucking funny. What's your favorite pie, and why is it apple pie?
Oh, that's a good question. It's definitely not apple pie, and it's not even sweet. It's going to be savoury. It's going to be some kind of, oh fucking hell, Rev's not going to like this because he doesn't like steak. A meat pie. Aye, I like a good meat pie, mate. My wife makes some absolute crackers, and then in the UK, there's a great chain of bakeries called Greg's. They keep it pretty simple: donuts, other kind of sweet treats, but then all these different steak bakes, sausage rolls, kind of like, you know, Cornish or like Michigan pasties, empanadas. Every culture has some Cornish kind of pastry and tasting meat. Yes. And there's a thing called a steak bake, and it's not short crust pastry. It's closer to flaky kind of pastry. And then you have this like very rich steak gravy with bits of steak inside. And man, that first week I've been in Scotland, I had more than 7, put it that way. It's kind of outrageous.
I would say that sounds very good.
It's great. We actually, me and my chef buddy, figured it out. We've like duplicated it. It fucking tastes exactly the same. I can't even roll pastry for shit though, so we need to figure that out. But we did it. We spent it like 4 hours just like fucking about and cooking it down. It was good. So it would be some kind of steak meat pie, I think.
Right on.
Fucking A. What's your favorite fruit and why is it apple?
No, mate, it's not. Well, now if you can smoke out a tangerine, it might be a tangerine. 'Cause I fucking love tangerines. See tangerines out the fridge, and especially I always try and get the peel off in a one go.
There you go. See,
That's
citrus
that's
is
what I
so
think.
much fun.
It's
However,
good,
you
but-
are right. You can't smoke out of fucking citrus.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, can you do that? Yeah, but apples are pretty good. There's an orchard a mile up the road here that does some pretty damn good apples, and people drive from miles to come get like the apple donuts. They're all right, but the apples and the cider, it's the real deal.
Oh yeah, man. I love cider. Oh fuck. No, I got a couple more questions.
more.
Yeah. You walk into a pizza shop for the first fucking time. You're just getting a slice. Do you go cheese or pepperoni?
I like this question. It's similar to an interview question I used to ask at the ski shops. I'd go pepperoni.
Yes.
And because you're getting a little bit extra. Like how's the rest of the ingredients going to be in this joint? Are they make their own sausage? Are they getting local sausage? Or are they just buying it in frozen? I love it. See, becoming lactose intolerant, giving up pizza was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. It was miserable.
Yeah, that's
Miserable.
my sister is lactose intolerant, and she also said that pizza and like quesadillas were just fucking.
Quesadillas, Cafe
detrimental.
Rio. Shout out to Utah, Cafe
Hey,
Rio.
Cafe Rio. They spread like fucking wildfire in California now.
As they should.
I remember when there was one in Provo that I had when I was like 10, 13 maybe. That was just fucking killer. Anywho, that local Utah talk where we have 0 listeners, mind you.
Cilantro,
and I've got fucking
lime
family
ranch.
there.
I can
Yeah,
say
yeah.
I figured out the recipe for that too. Whenever I go to these places, I always try to get the best recipe. I used to ask people, if you were a cheeseburger, which part of the cheeseburger would you be? And we'd say it's serious as shit, like during these questions at ski shops, and we'd judge them on their answers. Like we'd always try and look into it. And if they say like things like lettuce, we'd be like, nah, I don't think you'll fit in here. Like, nah. I'm the buns that hold the team together, or I'm the meat, I'm the biggest important thing, like this kind of shit. If they said bacon, management, you knew they were management.
What if they said mustard?
Now, back then, I would have been like, I don't know. Now, though, I do like different mustards, but back then I wouldn't have been a big fan of the mustard answer.
I like a mustard on things. I don't know.
We know what you say. Too much mustard gets up your nose.
Yeah, only like yellow mustard on that kind of stuff. Like
that's exactly why I would have been like, no.
That's okay. I think there are other reasons you wouldn't have hired me at a ski shop. One, I don't own shoes or pants. But
well, that burger talk is a perfect segue to the last question. What's your favorite sandwich?
Oh, that's a good question, man. That's a really good. I love sandwiches. I do love sandwiches. Fuck. Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches are amazing.
There you go.
Proper East Coast sandwiches are amazing. There's a spot in Columbus called Wario's Beef and Pork. It's down by the ice hockey arena. They make they actually have legitimate meatball subs. I think I've just had so many bad.
You couldn't get me into fucking Columbus. Fuck that.
Open consumption. I couldn't believe it. We were down there at this bar with Ohio Nugs. Shout out him again. Total consumption. The owner was like, we just tell the cops, fuck off, prove it's not hemp. Like, who are you guys?
They have to allow open consumption. It's the only way they can get people to stay in fucking Ohio. That's why they have more astronauts than fucking anyone. They're willing to go risk their life into space to get the fuck out of Ohio.
That's brilliant. I'm stealing that. That is so funny.
So your favorite sandwich? So the East. Did you call it the East Coaster?
Yeah, like East Coast, like Italian style, just
okay, Italian style. Yeah, that's
one of my first trips to the US. I enjoyed one day, and a few days later, the lassie whose family owned the sandwich shop, they also owned the liquor store next door. New Jersey. They came up. She came and met me in New York, and she brought a sandwich on the train with her because I enjoyed it so much. And
dude, there's fucking Jersey Mike's popping up all around me around here. I will fucking go out of my way to get Jersey Mike's. It's like, hey, you want to go get Jersey Mike's, dude?
Yeah. Red wine vinegar.
The
Round it.
Grateful Gardener
Round
is rolling around in his Jersey ass right now, going,
Oh,
"That
he's a nice
Jersey
fella."
Mike, you motherfuckers." Same with Herb. Herb's just sitting there going, "That's not Jersey."
Hey,
But
they
at
know
least
what
we
they
don't
say
have to
about
get
the Grateful
stabbed when we're
Gardener. He's a
doing
real fugazi. Forget about it.
that.
Forget about it.
Gabagoose.
I'm walking here.
Oh,
See, I told you I was
before
going to get another
You
accent. in.
did. I know
Yeah,
there was like
that's
no. You
right.
did another one earlier too. You imitated a fucking like white guy or something like that. White guy. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
Well,
at
then I've
least
got my
3 or
Southern
4.
Belle. I've got my Southern Belle. That Lindsey
Yeah.
Graham, he said Obama coming to steal my guns. I don't think so.
Well, why don't you take that accent and ask for the prayer?
No.
Oh, can I? Before we
First-
get into the prayer, though, I just want to say one thing about like homegrown rights. Take it as somebody who was like just going on the like letting everybody else just do the work. I was like, oh yeah, they'll get it on the ballot, no problem. I don't need to do shit. I was scared as well because I was growing in an illegal state and all that. Like, and as being a green card holder, that kind of concerns us. I do encourage people to keep an eye out for that stuff. Like follow people like Getting High with Cats and Bearded Bros Farms, like the guys who do the media. Keep an eye out for that because they don't want us to have it. They don't want us to be happy. They don't want us to have this. So if there is anything I was serious about on this podcast, it is like keep an eye out for what's actually happening and keep your head in a swivel with. Don't fucking trust them. Just look out for the home grow stuff. And if you don't have it, start looking at ways in which you can affect that change. Like Utah, I'm going to be reaching out to some folk. Like start petitioning for it. Figure it out because they're not going to be able to stop us forever. So. Anyway, that was my last little soapbox. And on that, Rev, could we have the prayer, please?
Yeah, I prepared one this week for our special guest. Before I do, though, I will be saying that YAG is starting an official petition to have you grow your red beard out so that you can join me in our future clan wars. Now, this one is inspired by you. I'm going to read a quote before we go by some guy you might not have heard of, Robert Burns. But it starts off with, "Life is but a day at most." It's one of my favorite quotes by your national poet. But I think that's a great way to look at life, man. Just take it day at a time, and when it's rough, it's the easiest way to do it. But also when everything's going great, enjoy the day, man. Don't be a dick. Mind your own business and go with Frog. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, man.
Fuck
A
you,
man's
man.
a man for all that, to quote Robbie Burns.
See, I was going to read another quote of his, of the Men and Mice, Alifar or something like that, and I can't do the Scottish accent, so I was like, I'm going to abandon that fucking one.
The desperate plans of men and mice are often gone afar.
Yeah.
You can plan all you want, it doesn't matter. It's
Exactly.
Crazy, man.
He's a
Thank you
brilliant
very
poet.
much.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? Anything you want to shout out personally before we bail on out?
Just keep enjoying autos, man. Autos are great. If you're lined up to do trades with folk, make sure you follow through. Hook people up. Like, you've probably got more beans than you have to have. Like, there was a point where I'd given away more beans than I'd popped. I'd encourage folk to do the same. Like, yeah, they can be expensive, but you can change somebody's life by getting them into growing. So, just gatekeeper, right? We have to protect our culture, but bring people in and call out nefarious characters in funny ways. Peace out to Stan Mephisto for blocking me for some reason.
Fuck that guy.
What a great way to end it.
Who knows?
Thanks for listening, everybody. Peace.
See ya.